Hello students, today in a paper Organization Behavior with paper code BBAP 3305 we are going to cover the topic that is effect of environment and culture on organization structure. Today the contents of this presentation are meaning of environment, general and specific environment according to an organization, then the contribution of Byrne and Stoker, Lawrence and Lodge and Duncan for forming the basis for effect of environment on organizational structure. Then we will review the contribution of population ecology, institutional theory and resource dependence. Then coming to the culture, that is meaning of culture, various dimensions of culture given by Hofstede, culture and organization structure. How this culture is going to affect any organization structure. Now coming to the definition of environment, environment is usually defined as everything outside an organization's boundary. It can be differentiated between organizations, general and specific environment. Environment is usually defined as everything outside an organization's boundary, and it can be differentiated between organizations, general and specific environment. An organization can have general environment as well as specific environment. Now, it is a general environment. It is essentially the same as an organization's environment, and it includes political conditions, the legal structure, the cultural conditions. Now, these conditions may have an impact on the organization or may not have an impact on the organization, but their relevance is not particularly clear. Whether they are going to impact our organization or whether these conditions are not going to impact our organization, but their relevance is not particularly clear. And these include general environment includes political conditions, legal structure and cultural conditions. Now, specific environment. A specific environment is that part of the environment that is directly relevant to the organization in achieving its goal. It is unique to each organization. Now, this specific environment has direct impact on the organization, and it is unique to each organization, as well as it changes with condition. And specific environment components are suppliers, competitors and clients, etc. All these have direct impact on the organizations. Now, coming to the first contribution that was given by Tom Burns and G.M. Stoker. Tom Burns and G.M. Stoker found that the type of structure that existed in rapidly changing and dynamic environment was significantly different from that in organization with stable environment. Means organization structure differ when they are working in changing and dynamic environment and when they are working in stable environment. Now, for this, Byrne and Stoker proposed two types of organizational structures. First is your mechanistic structure and second is your organic structure. Now, Burns and Stoker believe that the most effective structure is one that adjusts to the requirement of the environment, which means using a mechanistic design in a stable, certain environment and an organic form in a turbulent environment. According to them, the mechanistic design was suitable for stable and certain environment, and organic form of structure was suitable for turbulent environment. However, they recognized that the mechanistic and organic forms were types which form two ends of a continuum. Means no organization can be purely mechanistic or purely organic, but rather tends towards one or the other. Means it can be close to mechanistic and it can be close to organic form of structure. Now coming to the characteristics of mechanistic and organic structure. Mechanistic structure, individual specialization is there, means employee work separately and specialize in one task. In organic structure, joint specialization is there, means employees work together and coordinate tasks. Now, in mechanistic, simple integrating mechanism is there, that is hierarchy of authority is well defined. Here in organic structure, task force and teams are formed. They integrate and they form an integrating mechanism. Then centralization is there, means decision making kept as kept at higher management, that is kept as high as possible, and most communication is vertical, that is decision flows from higher authorities to lower authorities. Then decentralization, authority to control tasks is delegated, most common communication is lateral. Then in mechanistic structure, standardization is there, that means extensive use made of rules and standard operating procedures, means standards are rules, regulations are followed. In organic structure, mutual adjustment is there, work process tends to be unpredictable. Now according to the environment, now in mechanistic structure much communication is written, while in organic structure much verbal communication is there. In mechanistic environment, informal status in organization based on size of the empire. Now in organic, informal status based on perceived brilliance, how you are going to get the recognition. Larger the size, less the recognition in mechanistic environment, but in organic environment recognition is given based on your performance. Now in mechanistic structure, organization is a network of positions corresponding to tasks. Typically each person corresponds to one task. Organization is network of persons. Here organization work as network of persons or teams. So these were the characteristics of mechanistic and organic structure, and as they have told, mechanistic structure is suitable for stable environment and organic structure is suitable for dynamic environment. Now coming to the next contribution, that is by Paul Lawrence and J. Lodge. Now Paul Lawrence and J. Lodge sought to align the internal environment of firms with their respective external environments. They said that any organization works through alignment between its internal environment and external environment. Now this external environment consists of the degree of uncertainty. It includes the rate of change in product innovation over time, the clarity of information that management had about the environment, and the length of time it took for management to get feedback from the environment on actions taken by the organization. Means external environment include the rate of change in product innovation, the clarity of information that management had, and the length of time it took for management to get feedback from the environment on actions taken by the organization. Now coming to internal environment. According to them, internal environment consists of differentiation and integration. Now what do we mean by differentiation? Differentiation means horizontal differentiation. It includes, in addition to job specialization, managers in various departments can be expected to have different attitudes and behave differently in terms of their goals, perspective, time frame and interpersonal orientations. Now this was differentiation, how much different managers working at different levels or different various departments are. Now integration, the quality of collaboration that exists among interdependent units or departments that are required to achieve unity of effort. Integration means how integratively these departments or interdependent units work together. Integration devices that organizations typically use includes rules, how this work can be integrated with the use of rules, procedures, formal plans, how they are followed in any organization. So internal environment of any organization depends on differentiation and integration. Now they perceive both the organization and the environment as having subsets, that is that parts of the organization deal with the part of the environment. Part of the organization deals with the part of the environment, not whole of the organization deals with the whole of the environment. Part of the organization deal with the part of the environment according to them. They were proposing that an organization's internal structure could be expected to differ from department to department. Means their differentiation and integration, these two factors will differ from department to department, reflecting the characteristics of sub-environment with which it interacts, and it will depend upon the characteristics of the sub-environment with which they are going to interact. That is, your internal department is going to be affected by the sub-environment with which it is going to interact. Now, Lawrence and Lodge propose that more turbulent, complex and diverse the external environment facing an organization, the greater the degree of differentiation among its subparts. So, managers who are working in turbulent, complex and diverse external environment, they have greater degree of differentiation among its subparts, among them. Now, coming to next contribution, that was by Robert Duncan. Robert Duncan classified environment along two dimensions: the rate of change of environments and the environmental complexity. The rate of change of environment and the environmental complexity. That is, he classified environment along two dimensions: rate of change and environmental complexity. The greater the number of elements there are in an environment, the more complex the environment. Now, how this complexity will be measured? The number of elements. The more the number of elements, the more complex a particular environment is. Now, the interaction of environmental complexity and stability forms a 2x2 matrix where different levels of uncertainty may be identified. We help to form a 2x2 matrix where different level of uncertainty may be identified. Each of these level of uncertainty leads to the adoption of different structural responses. Now, according to him, he also gave the concept of boundary spanner, Duncan, and according to him, generally frontline service employees are referred as boundary spanners. Who are boundary spanners? These are generally frontline service employees, as they operated organizational boundaries. Why they are called as boundary spanners? Because they form a link between the organization and the external environment, so they are known as boundary spanners. And what work they do? They may be seen to be making a number of contributions to managing environmental uncertainty. First, they have expertise in understanding and interpreting the environmental segment which they are concerned with. Secondly, they filter and process environmental information into a form which is useful to the organization. Since they are directly in contact with the environment, they are going to process the information and going to make it so that it is useful to the organization. Third, they protect the core form from undue disruption by removing the need for it to interact directly with the environment. So, people working in production or directly related to production of goods and services are not in direct contact with the external environment. This direct contact work is done by boundary spanner. And finally, they represent the organization to the environment. They can be called as representative of the organization, these boundary spanners. Now, according to rate of change and environmental complexity, if we take rate of change on y-axis and environmental complexity on x-axis, we can form 2x2 matrix, and here we can see organization working in higher uncertainty environment, moderate to higher uncertainty, low to moderate uncertainty and low uncertainty. So organizations working in such environments, how they are going to cope with this environment, or what type of structure they should form, we can conclude from this matrix. Now, organization working in dynamic and complex environment, they have high uncertainty. Here, large number of unpredictable external elements are there. Here, organization can have decentralized organic structure. Now, and many different organic structure can be many different departments. Now, organizations working in dynamic and simple environment. they have moderate to high uncertainty. Here only a few elements, but each element change in an unpredictable manner. Few environmental elements are there, but they change in unpredictable manner. Here structural elements, how organization can structure itself: decentralized, teamwork is emphasized, extensive use of boundary spanner is there, and intensive coordination between production processes are more stable. Then coming to static and complex environment. Here low to moderate uncertainty is there. Many different elements, but each changes only slowly. Here centralized organization can have centralized decision with high degree of formalization. Operations can be mechanistic in nature, differentiated into many different departments. Large number of boundary spanners can be there. Now coming to organizations working in static and simple environment, means they have low uncertainty. Small number of easily understood environmental elements which change slowly. They can have centralized structure, have high level of formalization. Production processes can be highly formalized, and structure can be mechanistic in operation. Now coming to dimensions of organization's environment. Now, recent research suggests that there are three key dimensions to any organization's environment. They can be capacity, volatility, and complexity. Now, capacity of an environment refers to the degree to which it can support growth. How that environment is going to support growth. Rich and growing environment generate excess resources which can buffer the organization in times of relative scarcity. Now this environment can provide buffer to the organization in times of relative scarcity. Now volatility refers to the degree of instability in an environment. When there is high degree of unpredictable change, the environment is dynamic. This makes it difficult for management to predict accurately the probabilities associated with various decision alternatives. Because information technology changes at such a rapid pace, more organization environments are becoming volatile. So capacity, volatility, and your complexity. It refers to the degree of heterogeneity and concentration among environmental elements, how different they are and how concentrated they are. Simple environments like in the tobacco industry are homogeneous and concentrated. In contrast, environment characterized by heterogeneity and dispersion. For example, companies in the broadband industry such as Airtel are called complex, working in complex environment, meaning the environment is diverse and the competitors are numerous. So these three dimensions constitute an organization's environment: capacity, volatility, how that organization is going to support the growth of any organization; volatility, how unstable is that organization; and how complex is that environment. Now, does this three-dimensional definition of environment help us to draw a relation between degree of environmental uncertainty to different structural arrangement? Specifically, the more scarce, dynamic and complex the environment, the more organic a structure should be. The more abundant, stable and simple the environment, the more mechanistic structure will be preferred. So, dynamic environment, organic structure; stable environment, mechanistic structure, based on these three dimensions. Now coming to population ecology, institutional theory and resource dependence theory. There are three main theories on the environment organization relationship. That is, these theories form the relation between the environment and the organizational structure. These are population ecology, institutional theory and your resource dependence theory. Now, the population ecology views argues that the environment selects certain types of organization to survive and others to perish on the basis of the fit between their structural characteristics and the characteristics of the environment. If their structural characteristics fit with the characteristics of the environment, they survive, otherwise they perish, like the Darwin survival of the fittest theory. Population ecologist argues that the organizational forms must either fit their environmental niches or fail. Now coming to institutional theory. is an approach which integrates an organizational past action and the social and environmental pressure on it to explain organizational practices. Means social and environmental pressure will explain how an organization is going to structure itself. One of the most useful contribution of institutional theory is the explanation of the way in which social, economic and legal pressures influence organizational structures and practices. How these social, economic and legal pressure influence organizational structures. Then an organization's ability to adapt these plays a part in favoring an organizational survival. Now, resource dependence theory draws on the concept of the open system to promote the ways in which the organization depends on the environment for its resources. However, resource dependence brings with it the capacity of suppliers to exert pressure or power on organization, and as a result makes them vulnerable to the exercise of this power. Means how much resources are available and how that organization is going to deal with those resources. So survival or the organization structure will depend upon the resources available in the environment. Now coming to our next topic, that is organization culture. Organizational culture means it is a system of shared assumptions, values and beliefs which are generally followed by the people working in any organization, or which governs how people behave in organization. What type of culture is followed by that organization. These shared values have a strong influence on the people in the organization and dictate, and this culture is going to tell us how they are going to dress, act and perform their job. Organization culture can also be defined as the specific collection of values and norms that are shared by people and groups in an organization and that control the way they interact with each other and with the stakeholders outside the organization. These values and norms will tell the people working in an organization how they are going to interact with each other as well as people outside the organization. Now, dimensions of culture. The 6 dimensions of culture given by Hofstede and Minkoff and their research teams were power distance index, individualism and collectivism, masculinity and femininity, uncertainty avoidance index, long-term orientation, short-term normative orientation, indulgence versus restraint. Now, what does this power distance index means? This dimension expresses the degree to which the less powerful members of a society accept and expect that power is distributed unequally. The fundamental issue here is how a society handles inequalities among people. In societies with high power distance accept a hierarchical order in which everybody has a place and which needs no further justification. In societies with low power distance, people strive to equalize the distribution of power and demand justification for inequalities of power. So, in societies with high power distance, people accept the hierarchical order or whatever positions they have been given. But in societies with low power distance, people strive to equalize themselves. Now, coming to uncertainty avoidance index. The uncertainty avoidance index considers the extent to which uncertainty and ambiguity are tolerated. The dimensions considers how unknown situation and unexpected events are dealt with. A high uncertainty avoidance index indicates a low tolerance for uncertainty and risk taking. A low uncertainty avoidance index indicates a high tolerance for uncertainty and ambiguity. Coming to long-term orientation and short-term orientation, as the name indicates, long-term orientation shows focus on the future and involves delaying short-term success or gratification in order to achieve long-term success. Short-term orientation shows focus on the near future. Future involves delivering short-term success or gratification. Now, indulgence versus restraint. The indulgence versus restraint dimension considers the extent and tendency for a society to fulfill its desire In other words, this dimension revolves around how society can control their impulses and desire. Indulgence indicates that a society allows relatively free gratification, free satisfaction related to enjoying life and having fun. Restraint indicates that a society suppresses satisfaction of needs and regulates it through social norms. Now, masculinity and femininity. Masculinity and femininity dimension is also referred to as tough versus tender. Masculinity comes with the following characteristic: distinct gender role, assertive, concentrated on material achievement and wealth building. Femininity comes with the following characteristics: fluid gender roles, modest, nurturing, and concerned with the quality of life. Now, what implications this culture will have? This culture will have on organizational structure. Looking into the global perspective. Now, culture and organizational structure. Many countries follow US model, which is based on individual leadership, which may be jarring in countries where decision making is more decentralized, which may be unacceptable in many countries where decision making is more decentralized. Now, a study on business culture of Indian organization revealed that they are characterized by centralized and slow decision making, individual orientation, a tendency to avoid conflict, and little horizontal cooperation. A study on business culture of Indian organization revealed these organizations are characterized through centralized. Their centralized decision making is slow, decision making is followed, individual orientation is there, and there is a tendency to avoid conflict, and a little horizontal cooperation is there. They exhibit resistance to change, and communication is guarded and slow. There is lack of open and honest communication and low preparedness for interventions like knowledge sharing. Now, how this culture is going to affect employee structure preferences. Culture with high power distance may prefer mechanistic structure. Organization operate with people from high power distance culture find employees much more accepting of mechanistic structure than where employees come from low power distance countries. Means cultures with high power distance may prefer mechanistic structures, while culture with low power distance may prefer organic structure. So we need to consider cultural differences along with individual differences when making a prediction on how structure will affect employee performance and satisfaction. Now, culture and the boundaryless organization. How this culture will be treated in any organization where least structural formation is followed. That is, maybe a section 2 regional differences in global from boundaryless organization breaks down barriers created by geography. Breaks down cultural barriers, especially in strategic alliances. Firms such as NEC, Co-op, Boeing and Apple Computer each have strategic alliances or joint partnership with dozens of companies telecommunicating also blurs organizational boundaries. So there is no such structural form of any organization. Their alliances blur the distinction between one organization and another as employees work on joint projects. And some companies are allowing customers to perform functions that previously were done by management. Here customers can also work for the organization. And this telecommuting is blurring organizational boundaries. More or less this telecommuting is blurring our organizational boundaries. Now, conclusion. The following may be concluded about the impact of the environment and the culture on the structure. A dynamic environment, what we have learned, a dynamic environment has more influence on the structure than a static environment. When operating in dynamic environment, firms differentiate themselves into various parts based on the need of each environment segment. High environmental uncertainty leads to greater complexity. Stable environment should lead to high formalization because a stable environment creates a minimal need for rapid response. Dynamic environment is likely to lead low formalization. So, stable environment, high formalization, dynamic environment, low formalization. The more complex the environment, the more decentralized the structure. Extreme hostility in the environment drives organization at least temporarily to centralize their structure. Culture with high power distance may prefer mechanistic structure, as well as cultures with low power distance may prefer organic structure. So this was all about your effect of environment and culture on the organization structure. Thank you, class.